not. Like, that's just pure propaganda. We have seen, I just looked at the box office results from Cookie Queens. It hasn't even surpassed 600K.
They are broke, and there is no way they can keep the house.
Changing geography does not fix relationships.
Something about Harry and Meghan's return to the UK does not add up. One report says 6 months, another says it could be a year, another floats Canada, another floats Australia. Nobody, including the people supposedly closest to this couple, seems able to agree on the most basic fact of their own move: how long they're actually staying, or where they're actually staying for good. And when a story keeps changing shape every few days, that's usually not because nothing is going on. It's usually because something is going on, and the people involved haven't decided yet how much of it they're ready to let the public see. So today we're going through everything that's actually been reported. The leaks, the numbers, the contradictions, and one very specific detail from a soon-to-be-published book that barely got any attention. And laying it out in order. Because once you put it all side by side, a pattern shows up that none of the individual headlines show on their own. This isn't the first time this exact chaos has played out. Back in July, when Harry and Meghan were first said to be heading to the UK, the story shifted almost daily. First it was the whole family together. Then it was Harry and the kids, with Meghan joining later. Then everyone was heading to King Charles's estate and leaving again shortly after. Briefing, counter-briefing, repeat.
Reminiscent of the July situation with Harry and Meghan, where it was briefing, counter-briefing, briefing, counter-briefing, like just weird chaos. And all of a sudden, Harry and the kids and Meghan are coming. Then it's only Harry, and then Meghan and the kids are going to join him later, and then they're going to go.
At the time, there was a small but telling detail buried in the coverage. At an event Harry and Meghan were both supposed to attend, Harry's press team was reportedly asked a straightforward question about Meghan's plans, and didn't know the answer. They had to say they'd need to check with her team. Think about that for a second. This is a couple whose entire public brand for years has rested on being a unit. We, not he and she, working as one operation. And yet when a reporter asks a basic logistical question, Harry's own team apparently doesn't know what Meghan's team is doing at an event they're both attending. That's not how one PR operation runs. That reads more like two separate operations.
But that Harry's PR team was asked something about Meghan, and they did not know. And for a couple, yes, I understand that Harry and Meghan, they have separate trajectories, but if it's an event where they're supposed to be together, why the heck do you not know what she is doing? They're a couple. If they're a couple at an event, why doesn't Harry's PR team know what Meghan's PR team is doing? And on the flip side, it's probably, why doesn't Meghan's PR team know what Harry is doing?
Each one managing its own person, each one occasionally finding out what the other side is doing from the same headlines everyone else reads. Keep that in mind because it's going to matter again in a few minutes. There's also a smaller, almost comic detail that says a lot on its own. The Sussexes are reportedly bringing their 2 dogs to Britain. They're chickens, however, the ones that live in a coop, nicknamed after their son, and that appeared on Meghan's Netflix cooking show, are staying behind in Montecito, cared for by household staff. If this were genuinely a full, permanent relocation, it's a fair question why the animals that made it onto Meghan's own show aren't coming along for the ride. It's a small thing, but small things are usually the most honest part of a story because nobody bothers to spin the chickens.
Is that chickens you hear? Because the chooks aren't even leaving Montecito either. This from the Daily Telegraph. That first broke the story, of course. The couple plan to be an international couple, so the Sussexes will bring their dogs Maya and Poola with them to Britain, but will not rehome their chickens, which remember live in a coop named Archie's Chicken on their Montecito estate. The flock includes a rescue chicken named Silky, rehomed from their neighbour Ellen DeGeneres, a former US TV talk show host. The birds, which appeared on the Duchess's Netflix...
The clearest example of that split operation problem is what happened with Guy Ritchie's Netflix series, The Gentleman. Reports first surfaced, originating from Meghan's own circle, according to the Times of London, that she was in exploratory talks for a role in season 3. The story spread fast, a proper Hollywood comeback tied to one of Netflix's biggest recent hits. There was just one problem. According to the Times' own reporting, Netflix executives were reportedly left in the dark about any of it. Casting decisions for a high-profile name in a major show are normally worked out jointly between the streamer and the production company, not leaked to entertainment press before anyone at Netflix has actually signed off. One industry source close to the situation, speaking to The Times, dismissed the whole story as a cynical PR tactic, designed to make it look like she was in demand and that the Netflix relationship was still alive and well.
Netflix bosses were understood to have been in the dark about any potential offer, indicating discussions had taken place between Meghan and Richie directly. Usually any decisions relating to casting such a high-profile individual in a television show would be taken jointly between the broadcaster and production company. If I was Netflix, then I would want to...
And then the story did what these stories tend to do when they get ahead of the facts. Veteran journalist Tina Brown reported on her Substack that backlash to the casting idea had grown so intense that it had reportedly been withdrawn entirely. A complete reversal of a report she herself had published barely 24 hours earlier, saying Meghan had got the job. Other outlets pushed back the other way, insisting talks were still ongoing. Netflix, for its part, has confirmed a third season of The Gentleman is happening. It has not confirmed Meghan is anywhere near it.
To derail one of its most successful dramas from Guy Ritchie in recent years. And there are major developments on this. In the past few hours, Netflix has now confirmed that a third series of The Gentleman will be made, but not confirmed that Meghan Markle is going to be part of it. And you will remember this bombshell reporting from Tina Brown over the weekend, who did a total 180 on her report just 24 hours earlier that Meghan had got a job, to say that the deal is now off. She wrote on her Fresh Hell Substack, I learned this morning that backlash against the casting of Meghan Markle in Series 3 of Guy Ritchie's Netflix series The Gentleman has been withdrawn. The backlash in the UK was so intense it became...
Here's the part that actually matters, though, and it's the part most coverage skipped past. Why leak a role that wasn't close to being finalised in the first place? Because you don't usually manufacture a comeback story unless you feel like you need one. And the numbers around Meghan's other recent projects line up with exactly that read. Cookie Queens, the Girl Scouts documentary she executive produced, reportedly made around $3,700 at the US box office on a single Thursday, and by the most recent figures hadn't crossed $600,000 total.
Not. Like, that's just pure propaganda. We have seen, I just looked at the box office results from Cookie Queens. It hasn't even surpassed 600K. This is the latest box office results. It doesn't account for the weekend. I don't even think it's in theaters anymore, to be quite honest. And it made $3,700 on Thursday. $3,700.
With Love, Meghan has been reported by multiple outlets as effectively over. The Netflix relationship that was once framed publicly as worth $100 million has, by nearly every public marker available, cooled considerably since. So when a report claims a role like this is expected to draw a large audience and is likely to make a lot of money, and will be seen as a major coup for whoever signs her, that's worth reading carefully. It's not a neutral statement of fact. It reads far more like a line written by someone hoping it would come true rather than someone reporting that it already had.
And so in that power dynamic, The Gentleman has infinitely more power, and so does Netflix than Meghan. And I think it's a total lie. And I have to repeat this quote from The Sun because it's kind of insane. But it says her return to acting is expecting to draw a large audience of both her supporters and her critics, and is likely to make a lot of money. It will be seen as a major coup for...
This is where most coverage of this story splits into two separate conversations that never actually talk to each other. One version is all about the marriage. The other is all about the money. Almost nobody puts the two side by side, but they arguably belong together because the financial picture appears to be shaping the timeline just as much as anything personal. Start with the house. One detailed breakdown of what it costs to run the Montecito estate. Property taxes, insurance, landscaping, staffing, maintenance, and utilities, plus an estimated mortgage. Put the total somewhere in the range of $1 to $1.5 million a year. That's before any security costs are factored in. Property taxes alone reportedly work out to more than $12,000 a month, every month, regardless of what else is going on.
Sidley on this, keeping Harry and Meghan's Montecito mansion is very expensive, even before you factor in security. Property taxes, $152,000 a year. Insurance, $50,000 to $150,000. Landscaping the grounds, up to $150,000. Pool and spa, $20,000. Housekeeping and property staff, up to $200,000. Repairs and maintenance, $250,000. Utilities, $40,000 to $80,000. The estimated mortgage, $516,000 a year. That puts the potential cost of maintaining the Montecito estate at roughly $1 to $1.5 million a year, including the estimated mortgage, and that doesn't include their security costs. The property taxes alone work out to about $12,670 every month.
Then there's the legal side. Harry lost his High Court case against the Daily Mail. Reports have put the newspaper's pursuit of legal costs somewhere between $25 and $30 million. A figure that would sit on top of whatever Harry's own legal team already cost him to bring the case in the first place.
I'll be reporting on what Mr. Justice Nicklin, the judge who threw out Harry's legal action against the Daily Mail, is going to say Harry has to pay by way of legal costs. Harry's got his own legal costs, which is going to run to many millions, and he's going to have to pay a share of the Daily Mail's legal costs as well. The Daily Mail are looking for...
Then there's the income side, which is where the picture gets harder to spin. As Ever's flagship products haven't performed the way the launch suggested they would. With Love, Meghan has reportedly wound down. Cookie Queen's barely registered at the box office. And on the security question specifically, a Mail on Sunday poll found that only 2% of British respondents think Harry should receive taxpayer-funded police protection.
Statistics, Brittany, are utterly shocking. Just 2%. 2% of Brits think Harry should get taxpayer-funded security. Now, this is actually a poll that was taken by the Mail on Sunday newspaper. And the figures are absolutely stunning. I mean,
that number matters here for a very practical reason. It's directly tied to whether a UK return could actually save the family money on security, or whether it just opens up a public fight on top of everything else already going on. Put those figures next to each other and a simpler explanation starts to emerge than, this is a country they've suddenly fallen back in love with. A 7-figure estate that's expensive to keep running, a legal bill that could reach 8 figures, revenue streams that are underperforming across several projects at once. That's not really the backdrop for a leisurely, open-ended family adventure. It looks a lot more like the backdrop for two people trying to work out how to keep the finances stable while the story around them gets sorted out.
$20 every month. They are broke, and there is no way they can keep the house. Now, Lady C, this for me is why I think it's another reason Harry has made the ultimate play in terms of security, right? Because if he is able to move to the United Kingdom, twist the government's hand, twist King Charles's hand to sort of say, okay, you can do a few royal engagements a year, minor royal engagements, and then Ravik, the security committee, will have to provide you with security. Lady C, that is immediately a 3.
And that's really the thesis underneath all of this. Changing your postcode does not fix what's actually broken. If the underlying issue is a relationship under strain, moving continents doesn't resolve it. It just relocates the same conversation to a new house.
Changing geography does not fix relationships. The reason is that the relationship is the problem, not where you're living. Because when you move, yeah, it's exciting for a couple of months, but you're still...
If the underlying issue is money, moving somewhere cheaper helps at the margins, but it doesn't undo a documentary that made under $4,000 in a day, or a legal bill that could run into 8 figures. Whatever is actually driving this decision was already there before anyone booked a flight. The move doesn't solve it. It just changes the scenery it's happening against. Here's the piece of reporting that, out of everything covered so far, is the most specific, and arguably the most revealing. In his upcoming book, The Dukes, royal author Tom Sykes writes that a friend of Harry's described his actual plan in real detail. Not London, the Cotswolds.
The location in mind, the Cotswolds, the rolling English countryside close to his father's honeystoned home of Highgrove, where
The countryside near his father's home at Highgrove, where Harry spent time as a teenager, knows the back roads and has personal history that goes back decades. According to that friend, Harry intends to spend at least a month in the UK in 2027, timed around the launch of the next Invictus Games, which he reportedly hopes King Charles will open alongside him, a gesture that would send its own message about where things stand with his family.
in the canyons. The friend added further detail about Harry's plans that I found astonishing. They said he intends to spend at least a month in the United Kingdom in 2027 ahead of the launch of the Invictus Games, which he believes that the king will open alongside him, a gesture of
Then the friend was asked the obvious follow-up. What about Meghan? Wouldn't London suit her far more than the Cotswolds? According to Sussexes reporting, the answer was that it depended entirely on business. Specifically, whether As Ever developed enough commercial traction in the UK to make splitting her time practical. If it didn't, the friend reportedly said, there was little practical reason for Meghan to be based anywhere other than the United States.
And then I asked what I thought was the obvious question. What about Meghan? Surely London would suit her much more than the Cotswolds. The friends shook their head. Harry definitely did not want to live in London. Too crowded, too hectic. The countryside is where he wanted to be. As for Meghan, it was all about business. If, as ever, her lifestyle brand develops sufficient commercial traction in the United Kingdom, that might make it practical for her to divide time between locations.
Sit with that for a second. This is Harry's own circle on the record in a published book describing a plan where he's settled in rural England and Meghan is based in California for weeks or months at a stretch, with the deciding factor being a lifestyle brand's UK sales figures. That doesn't read like a couple relocating together. It reads like a business projection with two separate variables that may or may not line up.
I asked again. So Harry would be in the Cotswolds while Meghan was in California for weeks if not months on end. The friend shrugged without any observable discomfort, as though this arrangement was just a practical solution to competing professional demands rather than a description.
Around the same period that conversation reportedly took place, the Wall Street Journal became the second mainstream outlet, after Vanity Fair, to raise in print the possibility of a Harry and Meghan divorce, noting almost in passing that if Harry were ever to remarry, he would first need the King's consent under British law.
The day after that conversation, the Wall Street Journal published a piece that concluded by raising for the second time in a mainstream outlet, the first was Vanity Fair, the possibility that Harry and Meghan might divorce. The journal noted in an extraordinary...
That's not proof of anything on its own. But it's a striking detail for two outlets with no obvious reason to invent it to be raising independently. There's one more layer worth adding because it changes how some of the earlier details land. Reports around the July meeting at Highgrove described Camilla offering tea to Harry with what one report called a fixed smile, despite his public criticism of her in the past, widely read at the time as a sign that tensions, while not resolved, were at least being managed with more restraint than the family has shown in previous years.
There's even a quote today from the Daily Mail talking about how Queen Camilla, with a fixed smile in place, offered tea to Prince Harry, despite his public denunciation of her as evil. It appears to have calmed the Sussexes' fears about returning to the UK. And it's like, that was an hour-long tea. Someone can be courteous to you during an hour-long tea just because they want it to be over with faster. It doesn't mean anything. It does not mean that all has been forgiven. It just means that they have more restraint than Harry and Meghan do. That's simply all it means.
Some royal reporting since has suggested King Charles is aware of strain in his son's marriage and, according to some accounts, is prepared to be supportive of Harry, regardless of how things unfold.
So, according to insiders, the reported difficulties within Harry and Meghan's 8-year marriage have not escaped the attention of King Charles. An insider has told Closer magazine, King Charles has been watching everything unfold, and whilst he's certainly not wishing for Harry's marriage to fail, he's realistic enough to know that even...
None of that is confirmed on the record by the palace, and it should be treated as exactly what it is. Sourced reporting, not an official statement. But it fits the same shape as everything else here, a family and a press operation that appear to be preparing for more than one possible outcome, rather than locking into a single story and sticking to it.
An insider has said the palace, Buckingham Palace, are quietly drawing up contingency plans in the event of a split. A source said that the thinking is that Harry might push for a return to the UK, but Meghan won't want to come back from the US, and that...
So take all of it together in order. A couple whose PR teams reportedly don't fully coordinate with each other. A leaked acting role that collapsed within days and looked, by multiple accounts, like a manufactured comeback story. Pets that are coming to Britain while the chickens stay behind. A house that costs upward of $1 million a year to maintain, next to a legal bill that could reach $30 million, next to a business portfolio that's underperforming across the board. And from Harry's own circle, a concrete published plan that has him settling in the English countryside while Meghan's presence stays conditional on a sales spreadsheet. None of that requires an unnamed insider to explain what's really going on. Most of it is already sitting in the public reporting. It's just been covered as 4 or 5 separate stories instead of one connected one. The Times reported that sources close to the couple wouldn't commit to a timeline. 6 months, a year. I don't even think they know yet, as one source put it.
The Sussex emphasised that they did not expect their return to the UK to be forever. It'll be an extended period of time. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be more. I don't even think they know yet, one of the sources said, adding that they are an international couple with a home in Portugal as well as a house in Montecito.
That's not vague because nobody's figured out where the furniture goes. It's vague because the actual thing being managed here isn't really about a country. It's about 2 people, 2 increasingly separate financial pictures, and a plan that, on the evidence so far, looks built for extended time apart. Whether or not either side is ready to say so publicly yet.
I do agree with the hypothesis that Tom and Harry's friend say that there could well come a point where she's based in the United States and he's based here. And I mean, it could be another Prince and Princess Michael of Kent arrangement. Let me put it that way.
To be clear about where the line sits, nothing here confirms a divorce and nobody involved has said one is happening. What's actually confirmed is a lot more specific than that. A shaky, inconsistent official story, a business timeline that doesn't match the money, and one detailed on-record account of a living arrangement that already sounds like 2 separate lives being run in parallel. Whatever ends up happening from here, a full reconciliation, a long, quiet drift, or something more formal down the line, the pattern in the reporting points the same direction the numbers already do. Worth watching next. What happens with the Montecito house, whether Harry's security question gets resolved on its own, and whether As ever gets the UK push that, according to his own friend, is the one thing that could actually change this plan.
But Harry and Meghan are facing fresh concerns over their luxury Montecito home, amid warnings that the area could be vulnerable to flooding and dangerous mudslides this autumn. Residents in the nearby La Vuelta neighbourhood, close to the San Isidro Creek, have reportedly held talks with Santa Barbara County officials to push for urgent improvements to local flood defences as fears grow over the potential impact of a powerful Super El Niño.
That's everything credibly reported so far, put together in one place. Let us know in the comments which detail actually changed how you read this story. And if you want the next update the moment something new breaks, you know what to do.